Let's turn to something completely different now. The amnesty process is about perpetrators of human rights violations. The other side of the truth and reconciliation process is about their victims. How do we compensate them for their hurts and losses? On a practical level, we should look at healthcare, education, financial and emotional assistance. But equally important to the human soul are symbols and rituals that heal. This was the topic of a workshop in East London last week, held by the Truth Commission's Rehabilitation and Reparation Committee. It is a debate that is only beginning.
We had the first hearing in April in this very hall, and victims came in their hundreds to open their souls to the TRC. And I believe that we have then a responsibility as the TRC not to let those who opened their souls to us down. The Reparation and Rehabilitation Committee must begin to lead the TRC towards assisting in answering the question whether or not we are a commission which is led by the concern for the victims.
With these words, another dimension has been added to the task of the Truth Commission, and that, quite simply, is to start a national debate on what should be done for the many, many victims of gross human rights violations. While some perpetrators have already been granted amnesty, victims have not even begun to have their losses restored. What then is to be done? One of the ways in which it is said victims can be compensated is through symbolic reparation. In other countries, like Germany and Argentina, which also instituted truth commissions, past atrocities and acts of resistance were symbolically remembered through national monuments and memorials. Symbolic reparation, then, could be one way of remembering suffering and strength. It could also serve as a powerful warning to future generations not to repeat the mistakes of the past. But how do we in South Africa do this? For instance, Vlakplaas, the death squad headquarters, could be turned into a public park, or Stephen Bantubika's gravesite into a national monument. Robben Island, or the place where Hector Pieterson was shot in 1976 in Soweto, could be developed into historical museums, or could be places which contained war memorials. Not everyone agrees with the idea of symbolic reparation. Those who do feel that it should never be a substitute for material or economic development. There's also disagreement as to whether symbols like war memorials and heroes' acres would heal or keep alive the wounds of the past.
If you're going to build symbols that stand up there and all they do is remind me of my pain.
You're watching it on TV, you see an old woman telling you that my son was shot at and he died right in front of me. And you know, to me, it just brings back a pain. It brings me, it causes hatred inside me, you know what I mean? There's no way I can heal from that, because every time I see it, it just keeps hurting me. It's like not letting wounds to heal. I agree with him. If we could have like positive ways of doing it, like Mandela walking out of jail, which is taking us a step further instead of going backwards. Because yes, we have to live with our past, but if we're going that backwards, we're going nowhere.
It is a statement by the nation to say we have been through this past. It's a reality of our past. We need not repeat it.
There's a real contradiction in the way that people speak about fixing or trying in some ways to improve the lives of victims while saying that they're very limited resources to do that. And that's, I think, where the notion of symbolic reparations comes in. Instead of material, significant economic reparations, we offer symbols. And those symbols can be powerful and they can be important, and they're important at the level of acknowledging and recognizing what has happened in the past, but they're not going to go any way towards...
But I don't think that, like building any monuments or money is what people want. If you listen to a guy like Ribeiro, he's mad that these people have no remorse. It's got nothing to do with whether they can give him 2 million rand or they'll build a monument to his parents or whatever. All you'd like to see these people is say, I'm genuinely sorry. I really feel bad.
This is really the problem of the negotiations that brought us to the Truth Commission. Instead of a Nuremberg-type prosecution exercise, we have a Truth Commission which provides amnesty on the one hand and a certain degree of reparations on the other. And the anger, and the very legitimate anger that Eric is expressing, is being felt across this country, whether we're seeing it on TV, reading it in the press or not. It's there.
Okay, so let's work with the reality of here it is, this is what's happening, okay? Now, all of the things that you guys are talking about, remorse, repentance, material and economic reparation, improving people's lives, etc., etc. How can gestures on a national level, like for instance, turning, what do we do with Vlakplaas? As a way of making sense of the past, but also being developmental. Okay, okay, that's your
yeah. You
viewpoint.
burn it so it disappears. I mean, it's like, why should it? Yeah, you burn it on television or whatever it is. You gotta, you know, it must go. You know, you burn it like they burn people.
If you want to destroy Vlakplaas, you can destroy it at any time or make it into something. But I think for the sake of future generations, they should be able to go and look at exactly where their kin, their fathers, their forefathers died, or where they were ill-treated, you know. So that destroying Vlakplaas, while it will achieve at a very minimal level or immediate thing, removing from our history something that is bad. But I think that if you preserve it, and if you are able to go back to it in 50 years' time, and say, this is a symbol we wouldn't want to repeat in our life.
How are people
in 50
going
years' time, every time I look at Vlakplaas, I'll be pissed off.
And that's the point. You want to be pissed
I don't
off
want
in
to
50
be pissed off.
years'
It must
time.
be burned down.
You want to remember in 50
Why
years'
should I
time.
remember?
I'm gonna say something while we're still on these symbols. I mean, you're talking of all symbols which are there, and I think the question was, do we give them a different meaning? Do we destroy them or not? But whether you destroy them or give them a different meaning, they're still symbols of apartheid. You know what I mean? And I can imagine having like a big wall in the township there, and all the names written down there. The brothers don't really care.
The old symbols that we have, they are there, they are symbols, but they represent a particular history and a particular past that has not been associated with respect for human dignity and human rights and their integrity. What we need are new symbols.
And I think we should be able to use our tragedies, if we need to use them, in a manner that empowers us.
The issue of symbolic monuments should really focus on the triumph of our people over apartheid. You know, that the heroic aspect of our symbols must actually be what gives us confidence to actually love our country, to be patriotic to it, etc., etc.
He's absolutely right that most of the representation of the Commission and of the history has been of victims and of pain. And there is a whole other story about celebration and strength.
We have a victim mentality. 76 is not about the people who died. Apartheid crumbling down is not about the people who died, you understand? It's about what they achieved through their death. So your emphasis must move. That's what I'm trying to say. And when you move it that way, it's different. It's a different story altogether. And you need to, what I'm saying is, we need to reach a country where even white people can actually celebrate those people.